TV 10 Philadelphia. Live. Larry Kane, Diane Allen, Herb Clark, Ron Burke, and the Channel 10 News Team.
Good evening, I'm Jane Robelo in for Diane Allen.
And I'm Larry Kane. A tumultuous day and night in the history of the city of Philadelphia. Former Mayor Frank L. Rizzo died in his office today, collapsed of a massive heart attack and died shortly after 2 o'clock this afternoon, Philadelphia time, at the age of 70. Flags are flying at half-staff throughout the city tonight, including Veterans Stadium this evening, where there was a moment of silence for the former mayor who served the city of Philadelphia for a total of 38 years as a police officer, a police official, the police commissioner, and the two-term mayor of the city of Philadelphia.
The death of Frank Rizzo came quickly and without physical pain. Channel 10's Harvey Clark reports on the event that made people stop in their tracks.
Sad day for Philadelphia. Very sad day.
Frank Rizzo spent his whole life around people. People made the man, and he responded in kind.
I'm just choked up. Ever since he first was the mayor, he's just done a lot of good for the city. Awful lot of good.
The only thing I can say is we can pray for his soul right now. He did as much as he could for the city, and now he's with God.
It's not fair to say that all of Philadelphia loved Frank Rizzo, but everyone knew his name, and everyone knew where he stood, no matter what the issue. And hundreds of people just had to come to spend the last few hours with him. Tony Fullwood spent most of his life with Rizzo, 10 years as his bodyguard. Frank, he said, was just like a father to him.
He's a man who loved the city, and God bless you, Frank. God bless you.
Early tonight, Frank Rizzo's body left Jefferson Hospital, and some of the people who loved him just cried. Harvey Clark, Channel 10 News.
Doctors tonight say that Frank Rizzo apparently did not suffer a heart attack when he collapsed in the bathroom of his Center City office. Instead, he suffered what's called sudden cardiac death. His heart just stopped beating. Channel 10 medical correspondent Sherry Bank has more on that part of the story and on the frantic but futile effort to save the former mayor's life.
He had no vital signs. He was not breathing, his heart was not working, and the condition, as we describe it medically, is in cardiac arrest.
ER Chief Joe Zaccardi was one of the doctors who tried to resuscitate Frank Rizzo as police rushed the former mayor's wife, Carmela, to the hospital to be with her husband. But grieving friends believe Rizzo was probably dead the minute he collapsed on the bathroom floor.
He was never in pain. That's the point. This was very, very sudden.
Doctors tried pacemakers, defibrillators, and drugs injected right into his heart to try to bring Rizzo back.
You never actually opened his chest and did open heart massage?
Did not do open heart massage. Why not? We did not feel it was indicated.
You didn't think it would work?
No,
He was
correct.
Dr. Arnold Berman is a Rizzo family physician.
Family history of diabetes, and I believe there is some family history of heart disease, but he said he was feeling good.
Doctors here at Jefferson say many things could have contributed to Frank Rizzo's sudden cardiac death. His age, his weight, the stress he was under. But because no autopsy is planned, we'll probably never know for sure what caused the former mayor to die. Sherry Bank, Channel 10 News.
Tonight, funeral arrangements have been completed, and you might want to take careful note of these arrangements if you plan to attend. A viewing will be held Thursday from 4 to 9 p.m. at the Basilica Cathedral of Saints Peter and Paul. The funeral mass itself will also be at the cathedral, and that will be Friday morning at 10 o'clock. The funeral mass will be celebrated by Anthony Cardinal Bevilacqua.
It didn't take long for news of former Mayor Frank Rizzo's death to spread. The headline jumped off the front page of the Daily News late edition. Rizzo dies, and that's all anyone in this town could talk about. Throughout the afternoon and the evening, people have been arriving at the Rizzo family home in Chestnut Hill to pay their respects to the former mayor.
We go live to the scene right there in Channel 10's Meg Grant. Meg?
Well, Jane and Larry, somebody here said tonight, you know, Frank would have loved this. All of his old friends, lots of good food, lots of great old stories. It, as someone else said, was just like old times. Only the man who so long had really been at the center of the show, he, of course, wasn't here. All night long, they came by car and on foot. Came because Frank Rizzo cared about them, and they care about him. And caring tonight for the Rizzo family, for son Franny, too upset to talk this evening, for his widow Carmela, of whom friends say
She's holding up very well.
under the circumstances. She's doing the best she could.
He helped a lot.
Brother Joe says he, too, was doing the best he can. The visits and phone calls are appreciated. Hundreds of calls already.
Cardinal O'Connor from New York. Of course, Cardinal Kroll, Cardinal Bevilacqua. A lot of political figures.
Everybody's around him now, but a few days when everybody's gone, it's going to be a lonely life for all of us.
Longtime supporter Manny Stamatakis was too overcome to speak. And this man, Tony Sacco, who found Mr. Rizzo unconscious on the floor, well, he just wants Philadelphians to know one thing.
He wanted to go out of this life knowing that he had done something for his city.
And, of course, Frank Rizzo left an enormous mark on this city, but that's really talk for later on. For tonight, here in Chestnut Hill, friends and family really are just remembering the private man whom they knew so well and loved very dearly. Reporting live in Chestnut Hill, I'm Meg Grant, Channel 10 News. Larry, Jane.
Thank you, Meg.
Frank Rizzo had fans and pride in his career throughout Philadelphia, but especially in his native South Philadelphia, where Channel 10's Luann Kahn is standing by at the former home of Frank Rizzo. Luann?
Right, I'm right down the street from his former home, and everyone on Rosewood Street is out tonight. This is where Frank Rizzo grew up to become a hero and now a legend, and tonight everyone is telling stories about Frank Rizzo and remembering him in their own way. Some lit candles, others made a special trip to Rosewood Street, known in this part of town as Rizzo Street.
We were taking a walk to see the house, Rizzo's house, where he lived.
Frank Rizzo was like a father to me. He was a friend, a true friend, a genuine person.
Mike Reno considered himself Frank Rizzo's personal photographer.
Why did you follow him? You have a car full of Rizzo pictures here.
Because he's a hero. I've been following him since I was a kid. And he always had an open door for the underdog. He was like a movie star. When people would see him, he was like a magnet. He would attract people.
He was a clean-cut boy he used to be an errand boy for our butcher around the corner.
91-year-old Ann Benetti remembers the child who grew up to be mayor and made the neighborhood proud. Neighbors gathered round her to watch the news they did not want to believe.
I'm shocked. I am really shocked over it. I'll never get over it.
Rizzo never forgot that he came from here. Before every election night, he came here to touch his roots. And now people say they're sure the incredible stories of Frank Rizzo will be passed from generation to generation. From South Philly, Luann Kahn, Channel 10 News. Back to you, Larry, Jane.
Thank you, Luann.
Frank Rizzo's relationship with Philadelphia's African-American community was hot and cold. Channel 10's Arthur Fennell was on the streets of Philadelphia tonight to gauge that community's reaction to the death of Frank Rizzo.
On the streets of Philadelphia tonight, Rizzo's reaction was mixed in the black community. Some people liked him.
Frank was still a good man, and he will be missed.
Other people did not.
I had never voted for Frank. There's nothing I had against him, but I just never voted for him.
God forbid the day that I'm not around to take them on and keep them in their place where they belong.
Admittedly, Frank Rizzo's past relationship with many Philadelphia African-Americans was stormy at best. He was tough and feisty, no doubt about it. And that's why Ernie Hamilton, a product of the 70s drug wars, didn't like him.
Yeah, I knew him when he was a cop.
And your opinion of him then?
It's the same as now, and I just don't care about it.
But he always spoke to Abe Ferguson and his friends on the street corner every morning, and that's why he did like him.
Since the man is not perfect and living in an imperfect world, he did do, and he helped a lot of people.
Including black people, you think?
Including black people.
Joe Everett didn't much care for Rizzo, but he did like his tough stand against drugs. And Elizabeth Valentine thought Rizzo had made a change for the better. And former mayoral candidate Lucian Blackwell said this.
As I talked to a lot of our people, they were saying, I'm voting for Rizzo. You know, and you wouldn't have gotten that 5 years ago.
The one thing that I found by talking with people tonight is that the people who had actually met Frank Rizzo and got to know Frank Rizzo actually liked Frank Rizzo. And that says something about a man's personality. Hearing something about him is one thing. Actually knowing them is something different. In West Philly, I'm Arthur Fennell for the Channel 10 News.
In many ways, Frank Rizzo's political career will never be forgotten in Philadelphia. For one thing, his memory will live on in City Hall, where his official portrait is on display in the City Council chambers. The portrait honors Rizzo's service to the city as mayor in the 1970s. Channel 10's Dennis Woltering has more tonight about the life of this very famous Philadelphian.
I got my victory speech.
Frank Rizzo, the former mayor who was running for mayor again when he died, was born October 23, 1920 on Rosewood near Rittner in South Philadelphia. He dropped out of South Philadelphia High, joined the police department in 1943 when he was 22 after a short stay in the Navy. The hard-nosed cop some people knew as the Cisco Kid became police commissioner in 1967. He was often controversial, sometimes explosive.
The people say yes when I say everybody should be treated equally without being subjected to quotas.
He resigned as commissioner to run for mayor in 1971. Rizzo was re-elected in 1975. In 1976, he enacted the largest tax increase in Philadelphia history to plug an $80 million deficit. His opponents tried to recall him and angrily fought Rizzo's drive to change the charter so he could run for a third term.
That moldy group that look like they need a bath, the day that they control this city or the country, then we're in trouble. They're a bunch of radicals.
Rizzo survived the recall drive, but failed to get the city charter changed in 1978. Rizzo ran for the Democratic mayoral nomination and lost in 1983, endorsing Wilson Goode.
I'm endorsing W. Wilson Goode today for mayor of Philadelphia. I endorse him because he is the most qualified and the most experienced candidate.
The former mayor switched to Republican and won the primary in 1987, but he lost to Wilson Goode in the general election.
I think that the city is more polarized today than it ever was under Frank Rizzo, and I blame Wilson Goode for that.
After the election, Rizzo switched careers, going on WCAU radio as a talk show host.
And if they like you, they'll support you, and they want to kill you, they'll kill you. And there's nothing much you can do about it.
It was no surprise when Rizzo ran for mayor again this year, but it was a surprise when he won the Republican primary for mayor over former DA Ron Castile.
The common hopes and desires which bind us together tonight are far stronger than the political rhetoric that has too often kept us apart.
Officials say the Republican City Committee can now choose any candidate it wants to replace Rizzo on the November ballot. But the election watchdog group Committee of 70 says that could be challenged in court. And you have to wonder, can anyone really replace Frank Rizzo? Dennis Woltering, Channel 10 News.
Frank Rizzo died as he lived, a winner and a contender, vying for the job of mayor, having just won his party's primary in an upset victory. Channel 10's Bill Baldini enjoyed an exclusive interview with Frank Rizzo on that primary night and shares these behind-the-scenes experiences from Rizzo's final win.
Frank Lazaro Rizzo personified the word charisma. When he walked into a room, it lit up. Even though he was 70 years old, Rizzo was still a bear of a man who appeared to be a little overweight, but generally in great shape. One of his greatest moments took place this past May when he upset the Republican Party-backed candidate, Ron Castile. Not many people gave him a chance, but in this exclusive footage of Rizzo that night, he got his digs in.
I told you, Billy.
You told me. But it's only a quarter of 9.
Billy, we'll wait and see, but I knew that I had reached a lot of people.
Rizzo always had faith in himself. He believed when all others doubted.
I got my victory speech already written. That's how concerned I am.
Do you have a speech in case you lose?
Don't have to have one, because I'm not going to lose.
As public as Frank Rizzo was, with the exception of his brother Joe, his family always remained private, way in the background. His wife, Carmela, never did appreciate the limelight, nor did his daughter, Joanna. Frank Rizzo also had a son, Francis Rizzo. On election night, Rizzo was elated at his biggest upset ever.
Civil liberties, what did I tell you?
Bill Baldini, Channel 10 News.
Philadelphia lost a former mayor and the Republican candidate for mayor as well. And now what happens? Well, most of the political experts we talked to today and tonight say the Republican Party will probably meet, including all the ward leaders, and select a replacement candidate. But that process could be challenged in court. We should learn the direction of the party sometime within the next week.
Frank Rizzo had many political rivals throughout the years. His latest was former District Attorney Ron Castile. Rizzo's upset over the DA was an especially bitter contest. Ron Castile reacted to the former mayor's death in Center City today.
Well, I think it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy for Frank Rizzo and for his family, and you know, I send them my condolences. It's really the end of an era. Frank Rizzo is probably the most colorful individual in Philadelphia in the last 20 or 30 years, and probably if you go anywhere else in the United States and say, who do you identify with the city of Philadelphia, they'll say Frank Rizzo. So it's definitely the end of an era in Philadelphia.
And this reaction tonight from Ed Rendell, the man Rizzo was to face in the November mayoral election. All Philadelphians, whatever their political affiliations, will feel his passing as a tremendous loss to a city he loved so much.
And from the man who's currently mayor of Philadelphia, this reaction. Wilson Good speaking to reporters at City Hall today.
It was absolute shock. I was at a meeting in Kensington, and I received a phone call from the managing director who told me that Frank Rizzo was rushed to the hospital, that he had been administered last rites, that it looked very, very bad.
And in the nation's capital, Arlen Specter remembered Frank Rizzo to the members of the U.S. Senate. Everyone, it seems, knew the former mayor of Philadelphia.
Former Mayor Rizzo was a good friend of mine, with our association dating back to the late 1950s, when he was a police captain in Center City, Philadelphia, and I was an assistant district attorney. In those days, he was known as the Cisco Kid.
Specter said Philadelphia lost a great friend today. Well, later in our broadcast, it is time to remember, so we'll have some more special moments in the life of Frank Rizzo, including a nostalgic look at the early years. But now, from our file, some personal reflections. Over the years, people would always ask me, what's he really like? Well, what you saw was what you got, no question. He did it his way, as Frank Sinatra would say, with no regrets, but there was a side that few saw until later in his life. Amid the controversy, a wonderful warmth and love for people. Despite the controversy surrounding him, he was a pleasure to cover, and he had the most incredible sense of humor of any person I've met in this town in public life. It's something only a few people would see until recently. Last week, he joined the other candidates at the Comedy Works in Center City for a special fundraiser, and that other side of him really came out. Watch the body language.
Now here's my little... There once was a man named Rendell, whose ambition no one could quell. He's got such a yen, he's enrolled now at Penn, taking campaign 101 with Burrell. I enjoyed it, all you nice people. I enjoyed it very much for a great cause, and I've had a great evening. Thank you very much.
Weather-wise.
This has, of course, been a very emotional day for everyone throughout the city of Philadelphia. People who knew Frank Rizzo, people who were surrounded by him. Larry Kane, this has been an especially difficult day for you. I have to commend you with a pat on the back, the way that you've been able to bring to us the life of Frank Rizzo and also keep your own personal emotion a little in check today. What are your thoughts?
I was talking with Claude Lewis of the Inquirer today on our live broadcast this afternoon, and of course he disagreed with Frank Rizzo many times. The people who disagree with him, the people who cared about him, the people who loved him, the people who didn't love him, all had a great singular affection for him because he was such a personality in many ways, and certainly there's no question about it. He was someone who touched you, whether you agreed with him or not, and it's hard to believe that a man with his sense of invincibility was felled by such a sudden death today, and it was so very unusual to me, and I really couldn't cope with it at that moment. Everybody, Bill Baldini, we all talked about it.
Yeah.
It was just amazing.
But we couldn't tell. Thank you for your professionalism. And this is a Channel 10 News special edition. Frank Rizzo, the end of an era.
Good evening again, everyone. I'm Larry Kane. Jane Robelo with me tonight. The city of Philadelphia has lost a giant tonight. Former Mayor Frank Rizzo, dead at the age of 70 earlier today.
The story unfolded quickly this afternoon in Center City, Philadelphia. Rizzo was rushed to Thomas Jefferson Hospital just before 2 o'clock this afternoon after he was found collapsed on the floor of his campaign headquarters. Police brought his wife, Carmela, and other family members to his side. The 70-year-old Rizzo was pronounced dead at 2:12. Tonight, the Rizzo family is gathered together in mourning at their Chestnut Hill home.
First on the scene after the former mayor collapsed today, paramedics from Engine Company 24 in South Philadelphia. We get their story tonight from Channel 10's Bonnie Keller.
It was 1:23 this afternoon when the call came into Engine Company 24. Medic Unit 14 was dispatched, a heart attack patient.
There was a lot of confusion. A lot of people were running around, and they were in a state of shock. And we were getting a lot of mixed stories of who it was, where it was.
They're trained for the unexpected, and when these 3 paramedics went out for their 7th run of the day, it did.
We called his name to see if he was alert, and we determined very quickly that he wasn't.
CPR had already been started. The paramedics took over and worked frantically, placing a bag valve mask over Frank Rizzo's face to open his airway. Twice they administered cardiac shock treatments. Tonight, Philadelphia police and fire personnel mourn a man who championed their cause. For paramedics, it's their duty, their obligation, their desire to help someone who's sick. And these paramedics say they did everything they could to help the former mayor.
We did our best. It's a shame. We did everything we could do for him. He was a remarkable man in the city of Philadelphia.
We went, a little bit beyond the call to continue as much as possible on the way, trying to revive him.
Within 36 minutes, these paramedics worked in the line of duty to save a man who has worked to support their life-saving roles. Tonight, they're saddened their efforts came too late. In South Philadelphia, Bonnie Keller, Channel 10 News.
And tonight, funeral arrangements have been completed. Now, you may want to take careful note of these arrangements. Of course, many of you would like to plan to attend. A viewing will be held on Thursday from 4 o'clock in the afternoon until 9 o'clock at night. That's at the Basilica Cathedral of Saints Peter and Paul. The funeral mass will also be at the cathedral, and that will be Friday morning at 10 o'clock in the morning. The funeral mass will be celebrated by Anthony Cardinal Bevilacqua.
Cardinal Bevilacqua spent this evening saying Mass in Bucks County, where naturally there was a lot of sadness over the death of Frank Rizzo. More on that story tonight from Channel 10's Dennis Woltering, reporting from New Britain Township.
St. Jude's Church, New Britain Township, Bucks County. Anthony Cardinal Bevilacqua celebrates a mass of thanksgiving for his elevation to cardinal and praise for the former mayor after saying Rizzo's death was a surprise.
I was very deeply shocked and saddened by it. I had just seen him on Sunday at the cathedral, and he looked in very good health.
Just 2 days ago, Rizzo wished the cardinal well at a mass of thanksgiving at the Basilica of Saints Peter and Paul. Bevilacqua says Rizzo's sudden death is a lesson.
And it also reminds you of the importance of seizing every moment of your life right now, because you don't know what the next moment might be the last.
A New Britain Township policeman says Rizzo was good for police.
A little bit upset. I was kind of hoping that he would go on to become the next mayor of Philadelphia.
But Officer Bassiano's chief, a former Philly cop under Rizzo, who eventually became a police inspector, disagrees.
I'm sorry to see anybody die. I'm sorry to see anybody, but he was an egomaniac who was only concerned with getting himself reelected to office and taking care of his friends.
One woman said she couldn't believe it when she first heard Rizzo had died, and she said she felt a strong personal reaction, as if a father figure had died.
Really strong conviction, sometimes hard-headed. His style could have been somewhat abrasive, but, you had to give him credit for saying what he thought.
In the suburbs tonight, people are saying former Mayor Rizzo charmed. He alienated. He made people think. In Montgomery Township, Dennis Woltering, Channel 10 News.
I voted for it. And from the men and women in blue, deep sadness tonight. They had a special tie to the former mayor, who rose up through the ranks of the police department all the way to police commissioner. Reaction on the street tonight from Channel 10 reporter Terry Ruggles.
Frank Rizzo was following his father's footsteps when he became a policeman, and he quickly distinguished himself as a beat officer, as a highway patrolman, deputy commissioner, and no-nonsense police commissioner.
When they begin to charge us, when they begin to throw stuff, we're going to take them on.
Frank Rizzo was a policeman for more than 20 years. He never forgot the people on the force, and those people never forgot him.
Well, the reaction is everybody feels they lost somebody pretty close to them.
Nobody is taking Frank Rizzo's death harder than the members of the Philadelphia police force.
He was a cop, he was a good, took no crap. They did the job right.
He was a friend in the department. When he was in office, he was always
you knew you could count on them.
All the policemen feel it's a tough job, and when you have somebody in your corner, you know, you try your hardest.
Frank Rizzo was counting on the police vote in his run for mayor, and the police were counting on him.
You know, no matter who gets in, it's not going to be an ex-police officer, not somebody who would understand what exactly goes on out here.
Frank L. Rizzo will be remembered as a lot of things. For Philadelphia's 6,000-person police force, he'll be remembered as a leader and as a friend. Terry Ruggles, Channel 10 News.
Frank Rizzo had friends in many places, including show business legend Frank Sinatra. Longtime Philadelphia DJ Sid Martin talked tonight about the friendship that the two Franks shared.
Campaigns. When Frank Sinatra was in town, I'd always see Frank Rizzo backstage. He'd bring Frank a jar of sauce that Mrs. Rizzo would make. And when
Sid Mark tells Channel 10 that Sinatra might show up on Friday for Frank Rizzo's funeral. Frank Rizzo's political career was soaring in 1991. It was a great political comeback after losing the 1987 mayor's race to Wilson Goode. Channel 10's Harvey Clark takes us through some of the highlights of Rizzo's public life.
Tony and I ran away from home one time. We packed a knapsack. Remember, Tony? We walked down to the railroad. We got in a boxcar. We stayed 1 hour.
During past campaigns, Frank Rizzo went home every election eve for some stroking, South Philadelphia style. He went home to Rosewood Street, where it all began. He was one of 4 sons of a policeman to become a cop himself. He rode the changing social tides to the top as the city's first Italian-American police commissioner and mayor. Rizzo, the Cisco Kid, Geronimo as he was called on the streets, rose to fame out of the rubble of the Columbia Avenue riots in 1964. Looting, vandalism, police sweeps, and roundups. Nightstick violence, busted heads, broken faces, Philadelphia's first flash of racial unrest.
That was an era of confrontation. Frank Rizzo wasn't the police chief of Los Angeles when they burned Watts down. Frank Rizzo wasn't the police chief or mayor in New York when that burned to the ground. That was an era of confrontation. I'll tell you where Frank Rizzo was. Frank Rizzo was either the deputy commissioner, or mayor of Philadelphia. Nobody died. Nobody died. Nobody burned Philadelphia down.
The Rizzo political script was set.
When they begin to charge us, when they begin to throw stuff, we're going to take them on. Yes.
It would run for a quarter of a century. To some, Frank Rizzo stood for protection. For others, oppression. 1969, Rizzo arrives in a tuxedo, nightstick in his cummerbund, to control a black and white street rumble in Gray's Ferry. The picture made front pages around the nation. Next year, next national front page. Suspected Black Panthers were ordered stripped in a weapons raid after 8 cops were shot and 1 killed in one bloody Philadelphia week. By now, the once Republican Rizzo, the tough cop, now a Democrat, was on the make for City Hall. In a row house campaign, the lawman, the protector, whipped Bill Green Jr., son of the builder of the city's powerful Democratic machine. Rizzo overpowered that machine. Rizzo pulled Democrats and Republicans together as his own, the Rizzocrats, and Rizzo had won.
I pledge you this. This administration will do everything humanly possible to see to it that anyone will be able to operate a business without fear.
City Hall was unpredictable under Frank Rizzo's command. 1972, Democratic mayor supports Republican Richard Nixon for president. 1973, Rizzo flunks lie detector tests over suspect city contract deals. 1975, Rizzo falls and breaks his hip at an Arco fire. And in 1976, Rizzo wins City Hall a second time and decides to change the city charter to allow a 3rd term. But the mood in Philadelphia was changing.
Blacks are going to vote black.
So you say in response?
That I say in response, the whites will vote for Rizzo along with many other blacks that think like I do.
The Rizzo tide turned. His charter fight went down 2-1.
That moldy group that look like they need a bath The day that they control this city or the country, then we're in trouble. They're a bunch of radicals.
In August 1978, Rizzo moved on move. Police enforced an eviction order, confronted the radical compound with water. A police rush, gunfire. Officer James Ramp is killed, and police turn on move leader Delbert Africa, beating and kicking him. The next year, Rizzo leaves office to rest and walk his dog, but he then abandons retirement to take on Wilson Goode and the rising black power base in the 1983 Democratic primary. Rizzo loses, and blacks have the added passion of putting one of their own in City Hall. (1985) Move makes an historic mark on the first black mayor. Wilson Goode moves on move. Police enforce an eviction order, confront the compound. A bombing, a fire, 11 people die. Frank Rizzo, since in a weekend good and still in love with City Hall, decides to make a fourth try for the top job, but this time as a Republican.
Forget about
It's been a biting battle.
He wants you to forget about the Move tragedy.
He tore our city apart once.
Changing social tides that once favored Frank Rizzo and rocketed him to top cop, king of City Hall, now run against him in vast parts of Philadelphia. Rizzo, a grandfather now, said it will be the last time.
I am only going to seek election for one term, 4 years. And then I will retire to my home with my family, my wife, my children, my grandson, and my dog and parrot.
Oh, come on now. Give me one kiss now. Come on.
But can Frank Rizzo ever really throw in the towel?
We're not done yet. I will never concede.
And he never really did concede in his life to anyone. Right now, the Philadelphia Inquirer is running its first printings of its July 17th edition. As you can see the headline there, Rizzo is dead in bold letters, very extraordinary for the Philadelphia Inquirer, but this has been an extraordinary day in the life of the city of Philadelphia. This is a picture live from the Philadelphia Inquirer tonight.
Certainly a headline and a story that Philadelphians were not expecting to see for many, many years. Larry, in all the stories that have been told today, this may be an unfair question, but what is your favorite Frank Rizzo story?
A lot of stories, but I've got to say that I wish the man had stripped away the veneer of his strength and power and his invincibility once in a while to let people see what he was all about, that most of the reporters who covered him did see when he'd stop on the street and give money to a child to buy a popsicle, or money to the homeless, or give the coat off of his back to people. He was a person who really liked one-on-one contact, and he did a lot of small things that he never wanted publicized. A lot of small things for people in need, a lot of visits to terminally ill patients, to people he really cared about, and it's really a pity that people didn't see that side of Frank Rizzo.
Why didn't he want them to?
Very, very private person in a lot of respects, despite the fact that he was a public man.
And as a religious man, he wanted that to be between him and his Lord, I suppose.
Good night.